Welcome to Startup Secrets. Today we are joined by Emily Brick, founder and CEO of one of Ireland's newest and very successful startups, specializing in the exciting area of data analytics across the educational sector. Welcome, Emily, to Startup Secrets.
Hi, Emily.
Thanks, Barry.
So,
Thanks for having me.
So, Emily, to kick off, who is Emily Brick?
I suppose if I start from college, maybe I studied financial maths and actuarial science in college because I liked maths, but I really never saw myself going into financial maths. But I was lucky in that we had a few statistics modules and really found there that's what I was into. You know, I could really see finally where maths could be used in the real world, you know. So then I went on to do a master's in statistics, and then I worked in various different roles in data science in Dublin for about 5 years. And there really I saw, okay, there's so much data being generated by companies and by everyone and everywhere, but really we're missing out on a lot of it, you know, in terms of there aren't enough tools or people out there gathering this data and translating it for end users so it can be used. So from then really I was looking out for ideas and opportunities to start a business in that, because I thought it was an exciting opportunity. But then in 2016, I went to Australia, where I worked in various different contract roles, again, all data science, including one in the Department of Education in Melbourne. And then in 2017, I came back to Kerry, where I'm from, and I set up Athena Analytics, and that's what I've been working at since.
Well done. Can I just ask you, what Athena Analytics, what do you do in fact?
Yeah, I suppose, so the main thing that we do in Athena Analytics at the moment is we do a cloud-based software for secondary schools, mostly in Ireland, that uses machine learning to take all of the aptitude scores and exam results and all of that information there about students to create a baseline for them in each subject. So that baseline kind of represents what their potential is. And I suppose how that is used then is it's used by teachers and principals to monitor if a student is tracking below their potential and might need some support to get them back up to where they can be, you know, and beyond. And like really what it's all about is treating each student as an individual based on their own past results and making sure that no student is getting missed. You know, I mean, everyone knows the top students in the school, and I suppose the weaker students are often identified early, you know, and given supports early. But I suppose it's all those students around the middle that might get missed, you know. And then from a student's perspective, there's uses as well. You know, they can use it to pick their subjects going into school or for the leaving cert, or they can use it, you know, in their college choices. It shows them early on what their natural abilities are in.
Sure. Well, obviously you've pinpointed a particular set of data. How is it collected? Do you have somebody responsible in each school to drive it for you, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's data that's already collected. What we do is we have this data, this statistical model applied to it, and we present it in a really easy to interpret fashion for the whole school, you know, so it's already being collected. We're just presenting it in a different way.
Excellent. Thank you for that. So tell me, what makes a successful startup in your view?
I suppose, you know, I'm only nearly 4 years in business, so I really couldn't be saying this now. I definitely don't know yet. But I suppose for me, you know, we've recently gone into the UK, and some of the things that were my benchmarks for, okay, these are the things I need to do. Firstly, obviously, having the product ready, you need that to be successful. Having somewhere where people can buy it. I mean, these are all very simple things, I know, but you know, just having your website ready where it's clear the channel with how you buy it. Having a customer that's paying you for it, so that money hitting the bank balance is important. And then I think having a customer willing to tell other people about it and have a testimonial, because, you know, getting over the line is one thing, but then having someone really happy with the product and willing to recommend it to others. There are some of the things I think that are so important in getting started. But like I said, I don't know.
Yeah, and can you explain, was there much of a difference in the landscape now in sort of targeting the software to go into the UK market versus Ireland?
Yeah, I suppose like for both, like in Ireland, I suppose I know the education system so well, you know, having gone through it. So in the UK, one of the big pieces was around learning this new system. We got into one school very quickly and they recommended us to a couple of other schools. So it was quite organic in the UK as well. But it is more difficult when you're not as familiar with the system or the schools. You know, Ireland is a small place and I think it's a good place to grow quickly when you're based here. But yeah, definitely the UK is presenting new challenges and yeah, they're all still to come, I think.
Thank you.
Super. I suppose, Emily, I've known you for a couple of years and you're an extremely driven person, an extremely creative person. I would be keen to know as a founder, what does drive you and where does that passion come from?
I suppose I have lots of things I'm passionate about, you know, in business, but I suppose to stick with what I've been talking about so far in terms of data science, you know, I think I am very passionate about all the opportunities that are out there for data science and, you know, in building models around predicting things. But I suppose with all of that, you really need to be mindful and ethically conscious in all the statistical models that you build. So like, for example, you know, even with my own software, like, you know, one of the things we do is suggest subjects for students. So Barry, let's say for you, you were going into first year, based on your aptitude scores, your suggestions might be number 1, home economics, number 2, music, and so whatever else down along. But suddenly, if I introduce gender into the model, they would disappear for you, you know, home ec and music, because I think only 13% of those that do home ec are male and maybe 30% of music, something like that. So suddenly they're gone off your list, maybe because of that, you don't consider them, you don't do them. And like that has a knock-on effect in your life because of your gender. Do you know, so things like that, I think, you know, data science is so powerful, but there is that balance between accuracy versus, you know, considering the effects of what you're putting into the model, and are things becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy? So that's something I'd feel strongly about.
That's very good. And I just ask you, going back to your comment on Australia when you were working there, was it there that you decided that, yeah, education was a place that you could build Athena Analytics?
I suppose, like, I'd love to say that was the light bulb moment and I came back and yeah, like I was in every single school, but I suppose it just gave me an idea that a school was a place that might need the support. And I initially did start working with a couple of schools when I came back, but I was also doing various other consulting in data science. But it really grew from that then, I suppose, working with the few schools. I was initially doing reporting for them on their leaving cert results. But as I was going into them, what kept coming up again and again was that they wanted this way to track individuals, you know, in a way that was unique to themselves. You know, that we weren't getting to the leading cert and saying, okay, they're after getting a H5. Oh, but if we look at their entrance results, they were really strong, or their first year results were really strong. But in the second year they dipped. You know, it's trying to catch that moment in real time and react then, rather than this retrospective. So really, although I kind of got the idea from being in Australia, it really grew from when I started working with the schools in Ireland.
That's very interesting. Can I just again tease it out? Because like one of the things that struck me is that a lot of assessment comes into the curriculum now as opposed to just 100% results. How are you going to manage that side of it, do you think, or is that a challenge for you?
Yeah, I suppose like I think that's an opportunity for us, you know, the changes in assessment that are coming and the discussions that are ongoing. Like ours really suits our system really suits a continuous-based assessment approach. So really, I think we're a tool that are there with school that as the changes come, we'll change with them in that. And yeah, definitely lots of opportunities in that.
Excellent, that's great. I suppose it brings me now to the lovely question of back in time now, with all you've learned so far, being away and bringing home ideas and everything. If you were to go back in time and write yourself a note, what would you put in that letter?
I suppose like it's not that far back in time, like I've said, you know, I'm only just nearly 4 years in business, so I wouldn't say to do anything majorly different. I don't think I've made any of the big mistakes yet. Maybe I'm doing them at the moment, I don't know. But I suppose one thing I probably would say, you know, that I understand now is the big game changer is like to get more people involved more quickly. I think when you start off a business, you, the entrepreneur, is so important, you know, like that you're going to work really hard, that you have the good idea and that you can get those initial steps across. But like there comes a point when if you want to grow, you know, it's all about the people you get involved. And I'm lucky in that, you know, the team I have are brilliant. You know, when you're in a startup environment, you need people who are patient and adaptable, and really that you trust with something that you've built yourself, you know, and I definitely have that. And I've great advisors and, you know, all that. So maybe I would say to try to do that quicker, but at the same time, you know, these things do take time. Like it does take time to find brilliant people. It can't be rushed. So.
Brilliant. So yeah, Emily, we'd like to thank you for your time, Barry and myself, for coming on Startup Secrets. It's been really, really interesting to get an insight into Athena Analytics. A very complex area, but I think it's one that you've made it understandable. And thank you very much for your time. And I wish you and your teams the very, very best for the future.
No problem. Thanks a million, Mike. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Barry.